I just need to know what I'm allowed to say.
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Grassroots Resistance Collective. It is August 14th, 2026. We are back after a long deserved hiatus, crazy hiatus. Chastity, Jen, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Doing
How
amazing.
Has definitely been a chaotic. It's been really, truly. We started about a year ago doing these, right?
I think it's,
oh,
I don't
longer than that.
know. I think it's been a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's been longer than that. It was over a year ago when we went to San Antonio.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and we had already been doing it for a long time. So this is probably we're probably close to our 2-year anniversary doing this.
man. This is like
Oh, yeah, dude. It's been a little while.
Yeah. We just took a long break from because we quit right before when I started campaigning, like right before the January. I think our last episode was in December, and we decided we were going to pick it up after the primaries, and then everything happened
yeah,
since then. But
crazy.
yeah, everybody's lives went crazy. I'm sure it wasn't just us.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't just us. The whole world is going crazy right now. So,
Yeah,
What
um,
is this?
today we're gonna be having Vicky Goodwin on. Um, that's pretty
yeah,
exciting. That's a great first guest to have
yeah,
Yeah.
coming on.
yeah. I'm
I'm
really excited
excited
about
to talk to her. She's been making a lot of noise with this hemp ban,
it.
which I think is really important right now.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna get into all that. Just think it's awesome that we've been seeing her like in so many spaces. Like
mhm,
she like she knows like this is a big and deal for a lot of Texans, for
Yeah.
a lot of Texans.
Well, I also appreciate she's not scared about
Hmm.
answering tough questions and going into tough places to answer those questions. So I think we need more of that. So take notes, candidates.
yeah. I
Vicky.
100% agree as somebody who did campaign that just because you hold that office, there's a lot of people that hold those offices and then they think they don't have to answer to anybody anymore. They don't have to show up for town halls. They don't have to answer their phones or even their emails. They just send generic everything and have
Yeah,
somebody else do. And that is not appropriate. And Vicky has not been that way. So
Yeah.
appreciate that for
yeah. I
sure.
know when I messaged or when I sent an email to John Cornyn's office, me and another person, one of the managers at one of the shop here sent a letter as well, and we got the same form letter back. Like it's the exact same thing. They don't read it. They just say, okay, it's about hemp. Boom, send this letter that we already had to pacify these, these people who are concerned about it.
Yeah.
Because
If
it
you
really
that,
depends.
I never got that from my representative. I sent a message to Dan Patrick and I mean to um who did I run against? Ronnie Jackson. He's so forgettable. I sent a letter to Ronnie Jackson and just got like this random like Ronnie believes in this and he believes in this and this and this and it's like that didn't answer my anything.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah.
And this is why we do GRC.
this is
Yep.
why we do GRC. Let me put this slide up since we're waiting. Let me get this thing downloaded
It's not showing that we're live on YouTube.
on YouTube.
Yeah, no, it's not showing we're live. You're watching Grassroots. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I needed to refresh it, I guess. Sorry. It's not showing that we're live.
I can hear it that we're live.
Ooh. I think that means we're live. Let's see. Is that us? Yes.
How do we have comments?
We have comments already, eh?
Have comments already.
All right. Let's hear it.
GRC Live is back.
That we're live.
Ooh. That means we
How
have
old are all of you? How old are we? I'm 42.
I am 44. I'll be 45 in like 2 months.
I'm 40.
We're in our 40s
Yeah,
ish.
we're old, dude. How old are y'all? I just heard like a kid. How old are y'all? Y'all on YouTube?
They asked like 12 times. They sent a happy face. Um, how do I pause this? There we go. A happy face. I said hi. Hey, how old are all of you? How old are you? Jesus.
It's 420.
What's the screen name? We want to acknowledge whoever this is.
Lavino Safarov.
Hello, Lavino Safarov. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hope we passed the
We
first set
have
of
4
tests.
watchers. Yay.
Welcome, everybody. If you guys have questions about clarifying Texas hemp law, anything like that, right now is the time to get those questions in. We're about to talk to Vicky Goodwin, and we will pose some of those questions to her. So if you want to know anything, get in the chat.
Yeah. That would be really cool if anybody had questions that we didn't come up with yet.
Right?
We tried really hard to come up with questions.
Share the stream, please. Wow, now I sound like an old lady.
Yeah. Just wanted to is is uh is Vicky's team gonna reach out via email before she's coming on, or I just want to
Um,
make sure we don't catch her too off guard as she's gonna get thrown right into an interview.
yeah, you might send her an email at least and let her know.
Okay, let me do that really quickly.
Since we were only going to have 30 minutes, we decided that we would talk about what's going on in the hemp industry because that's going to be one of our first questions for her. So we made you guys a little, I don't know what you even call this, a presentation thing. I don't know, a pitch deck thing. I don't know. But what's important here is that because I went in my town when I live in Amarillo, and I went the other night to 4 different dispos, and one of them, it was open on Friday, that I pass every single day after the gym, that it was open on Friday, was closed, and like their sign was taken off of the building by Monday. And then the other ones I went into, and all I was looking for was flour. And I know everybody else is having this same issue. Every single one that I went into, they were like, no, it's illegal now. And I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, yes, it is. It's illegal. And I'm like, no, it's not. And they were very, very sure of themselves. And I can't make them do anything, obviously, but there's a lot of misinterpretation of what's happening, and I've seen a lot of it on social media. I've seen a lot of it actually in regular media, as if they're not doing their due diligence to fact check before their stories, or they're just using like ChatGPT to fact check. And so I'm going to explain really quickly what's going on here. So federal law, we have the 2018 Farm Bill. That's what legalized hemp federally at the federal level. It defined hemp as the cannabis sativa L plant, any part of that plant, whether growing or not, including any derivatives, extracts, isomers, cannabinoids, acids, whatever, any part of that plant, whether growing or not, with less than 0.3% delta 9 THC by dry weight. So that's our federal law, right? In August of 2026, that Farm Bill definition today is exactly the same. It has not changed, right? But in November, we were supposed to have a change that went on to the fiscal note that reopened the government back in December. They added in a rider that changed the definition of hemp at the federal level into that bill. And it was supposed to go into effect in November. We actually did get an extension until December for that. And then so federal law states that hemp is still 100% legal, just like it was, just like it has been. Okay. Now, the Texas state law, Texas adopted in 2019 HB 1325 or House Bill 1325, which did the same exact thing that the federal law did. It gave the same exact verbiage. So any part of that plant, whether growing or not, with a less than 0.3% delta 9 THC by dry weight qualifies as consumable hemp. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or as hemp. And then, so now let's move to the dishes. So dishes implemented in March new rules. Now, in case you're not keeping up with this, dishes is up for sunset review, which means that the sunset review means that all of their financials will be distributed for the next, I think it's like what, 5 years, something like that.
Hmm.
Anybody know how long?
Mm.
So
I
they're
don't
up
know.
for sunset review, and there are people that are politically powerful that are attempting to enforce things, uh, these new rules at the dishes at that level to get rid of the hemp industry because they were not capable of doing that during SB3. So that's what we're going through right now. Dishes has implemented rules. Notice that I did not say law. I said a rule that states that it redefines the definition of hemp. And that new definition is all all combined THC. So THCA, THCV, delta 9 THC, all of the THCs or tetrahydrocannabinols that are in the hemp plant, all added together, have to be less than 0.3% by dry weight. Okay. Now, that is a rule. It is not a law. Okay. Then on this, so what we did was we sued the state of, or we sued Dishes for overstepping their scope of work, overstepping their boundaries, and we got an injunction. Okay. On the same day that we got that injunction, the Sky Marketing case was overturned in the Texas Supreme Court, which was the Delta 8. So previously, back in 2020, the state attempted to put Delta 8 onto the Texas controlled substance list,
Mhm.
right? And so Sky Marketing sued the state of Texas, and this has gone through tons of court cases and up to the Supreme Court. The same day that we got the injunction on the Dishes case, the Sky Marketing case was overturned in the Texas Supreme Court. Okay. So what that means is that Delta 8 was now able to be considered a controlled one substance. And it has been, as of July 31st, it was put onto the controlled substance list. This is not the same thing. These are two different things. One is the Dishes case. The other one did include Dishes, but they're talking about Delta 8 only. Okay. That does not mean that THCA is illegal. It means that THCA, according to Dishes, that you cannot sell it according to their definition of hemp. Dishes does not have the ability to
To
rewrite
redefine.
the law and say that they can't redefine hemp at the state level. That has to go through the legislature. Okay. Now, total THC, um, that's Vicky, I'm betting. Um, that total THC is just a lab testing calculation. So THCA is actually more legal for you to sell right now than the Delta 9 gummies that you're selling, or the mushroom things that you're selling, or the Blue Lotus stuff that you're selling, all of these other things that you're selling. THCA flower is actually legal and just against the rules. Whereas all of the other products, if they are synthetically made and you don't know it, those are actually illegal and a Schedule 1 narcotic. So I hope that answered everybody's questions. You can always reach out to me on social media, on Instagram, or anywhere else, and I will answer any of those questions. But it looks like Vicky's on her way in,
Okay.
so I'm gonna shut up.
Hello,
Hi.
Miss Vicky. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
How are you today? How's your week been? Happy Friday.
Oh, yeah, thank goodness for Friday. It's been a good week. It's been a long week.
You have been out there. I have seen you working, and I want to say, I want to say that really appreciate that, especially in the cannabis space. We've seen you in Denton, we've seen you in Austin, and we've seen you virtually, all throughout these spaces. And from the cannabis industry, I want to say thank you for actually putting up a fight for us. because we really do appreciate that. I know we only have you for a short time, so I just want to get right into it if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let me just give you a real quick introduction. Tonight, we're joined by Texas State Representative Vicky Goodwin, who currently represents House District 47, and she's running for Lieutenant Governor of Texas against Dan Patrick. Um, so, real quick, we'll just jump right into it. We already know from your previous interviews that you support cannabis, and that you oppose efforts to ban THC products. So, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about that, but instead, I want to talk about what's happening right now with hemp in Texas. There's an important distinction between law that has been passed by the Texas legislature and administrative rules created by dishes to implement that law. Right now, hemp businesses are dealing with the consequences of dishes rules and the questions of how far an administrative agency can actually go when interpreting these and enforcing the laws passed by the legislature. If you were elected lieutenant governor, what do you intend to do about Texas hemp policy, and what power would you actually have as lieutenant governor to affect what happens with hemp and dishes?
Yeah. So what needs to happen is we need to go back to the way things were handled before DSHS, Department of State Health Services, created the new rules that caused retailers to have to pull a lot of products off their shelves. The legislature took up the issue of THC during the 2025 session. And while Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick strong armed members in order to get his bill passed to ban many of the THC products, the governor vetoed that bill. That should have been the end of the story.
Yeah.
We should have proceeded as though no new law had passed because no new law had passed. And yet the DSHS changed their rules, effectively changing the law. And that is not the role of a state agency. So when we return to having state leadership that follows the will of the people, we will have state leadership who will require DSHS to revert back to prior rules, which will mean the products that were sold prior to August 1st can once again be sold in Texas. And of course, that should happen immediately. But during the legislative session in 2027, my goal would be to pass legislation that sets a law around THC, hemp, cannabis. I want to see an age requirement, which we already had in place, product labeling requirements so that people know what they're putting into their bodies, marketing so that we're making sure that we're not marketing this to kids, things like that, which really everybody agrees on. And I don't think there's any question about what we need to do next session. The lieutenant governor absolutely has the power to make that a priority. And that certainly would be a priority of mine. I have kind of my four pillars of what are my issues, and healthcare is a big issue. And a lot of people use these products for pain relief, anxiety, all sorts of things. And when I'm on the campaign trail every day, I hear people say they simply can't have access to mental health care and providers. And so this is one way that people can help themselves with products that have been working for them. You know, we need to go back to how things were before August 1st.
Have you spoken with anybody who's in office currently or is running for office who has given you any indication that they have bills written that you're ready to push forward? Anything, any hope, any light at the end of the tunnel?
So not yet, because Dan Patrick is still the lieutenant governor. I think there's this fear around showing one's hand,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times legislators will have things in the works, but they won't actually have it sent to the legislative council, which is the team of lawyers that put things into the correct language for us to pass as bills.
Mhm.
I think there may be some Democratic bills that I'm not aware of from last session, but I think everybody's being quiet right now until we know what happens in November.
Well, we don't have to know. I mean, we do know that we are going to have a Lieutenant Governor, Vicky Goodwin. So get
That's
ready,
right.
guys. Get those bills ready.
So you've served in the Texas House for 4 terms, right? Or longer
Yes.
than that. So
Yeah,
you
four
have a
terms.
row seat to what happened in that legislature under Dan Patrick's leadership, last session. I kind of wanted to ask you what your personal experience was of that strong arming of the ledge during that legislative session. Like, what happened? How did it happen? Because for me, this past legislation or past session was a really different experience than any session that I've had before. I never
Mhm.
saw the corruption so blatantly.
Yeah.
And I saw that as a constituent, but I also paid attention to it. So a lot of people that didn't pay attention to it didn't understand. So I just kind of wanted to know what your personal experience. I'm not asking you to like make claims or anything, but
Yeah. Well, I will say that I started talking about running for lieutenant governor quite some time ago. So even in the last session in 2025, it had been shared by the Texas Tribune that I was thinking about running for lieutenant governor. And as a result, none of my bills went anywhere. So
Mm.
Dan Patrick told committee chairmen and women not to give my bills hearings. So none of them had a hearing except for one, which was due to Democrats were on subcommittee chairs. No Democrat was a committee chair, but there was one subcommittee that one of my bills went to, and that Democrat gave my bill a hearing. That was the only bill I had this session that got a hearing. So
How does
that was.
it feel to know how much you scare Dan Patrick?
Yeah, but it wasn't just that. It was also the voucher bill, school voucher bill.
Mhm.
Everybody always thinks of the governor when it comes to passing vouchers, and obviously that was his big priority. But it was also Dan Patrick's big priority. Also, the getting rid of DEI in our public universities, getting rid of faculty senates. So there were a lot of things that he was strong arming on. When it came to the THC bill, it's really interesting because I heard from someone that oftentimes Dan Patrick will get polling done. He will poll constituents to find out how do Texans feel about this issue. And then he will use the polling information to show the senators, hey, you really need to vote this way because this is what Texans want. Well, guess what? He didn't show them
We
the polling
n
on THC.
Because we knew the polls. We showed them the polls, and I think it was at the time 70 something percent was a University of Houston study of people that wanted some kind of regulation or at least a pathway to legalization or decriminalization. And he
Mhm.
completely disregarded that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, he didn't show the senators that, and he threatens them, if you want your bill on this favorite thing that you're trying to do for your constituents passed, then you need to vote for my bill. And that's really how he got it passed. And I've seen that time and time again. He doesn't obviously he doesn't talk to some of the Democrats because he knows that he doesn't have to be honest.
Isn't it? Is that not like? Is it not? I mean, okay. I know that it to me it just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair. When I was running for office, I was in a meeting one time, a public meeting, where the person that was running the meeting like openly like shamed me for talking to a Democratic constituent. And I'm like, which one of you sheriffs or people that are running for sheriff or running for judge or running for whatever are only going to represent the Democrats, are only going to represent the Republicans, are only going to represent independents? You can't do
Right.
that. You're the vote is to get you in there, but it's a majority vote. It doesn't mean you
Mhm.
don't have to represent everybody. And I just don't understand.
That's tribalist. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, and in the past, there have been lieutenant governors that said, vote your district. There have been speakers of the House who said, vote your district. And when I first got in the legislature, I was like, that's a funny thing to say. Now I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's don't follow what leadership is saying, it's follow what the people want and need. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, our leaders right now don't say that. They want you to fall in line.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into the next thing we wanted to talk about, which was the 2027 session. Um, he's already setting the priorities for that session. And we've seen hemp and AI and data centers and betting and prediction market apps identified as issues that the Senate intends to address. Obviously, the lieutenant governor has enormous influence over what gets attention in the upcoming session. So, what would be the most important issues to you? The things that we've heard the most about are going to be obviously hemp, the AI data centers for sure, public education, property taxes, and
Mhm.
public health and safety are seem to be the biggest things. Just really basic kitchen table stuff.
Security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think affordability, like the overarching theme of next session will probably be affordability. And all of my other three big issues kind of fit within that. So public education. Well, we are losing so many teachers right now, and we have so many teachers in the classroom who are not certified.
Uncertified.
I
And
saw a
that is such a
report.
problem.
Mhm. Sorry.
It's because we don't pay them enough, but it's also because we don't respect them and support them.
Yeah.
And so that has to do with affordability. If we were paying our teachers better, they would stay in the profession. Um, Second of all is healthcare. We have a really broken healthcare system. And starting this Tuesday, I'm going to be launching my healthcare plan. But we have 5 million Texans who are uninsured. Some of them probably could be insured through Medicaid if they understood how the application process is really complicated and they have to repeatedly apply. So we could fix that, make that a little bit better, expand Medicaid and bring those federal dollars back. But I also have a plan for creating a Texas CARES plan. So for those people that don't have employer-based insurance, and for those people who don't qualify for Medicaid or Medicare, we're going to have a plan that addresses their need to get affordable health care. And so that's number 2. 3 is water and energy. And that goes with the data centers because people are really concerned about how much water and energy these data centers are using. And of course, the governor did say we want to have an audit of the data centers, make sure we know where they're getting their water and energy, how much they're using, et cetera. But that excludes El Paso, and El Paso is building a really huge data center right now.
Yeah.
And I think there's some loopholes to that.
Well,
So
isn't it something that he probably should have thought about and audited prior to granting these land leases to these AI data centers? Because it doesn't seem like it's going to be very helpful to ask these questions after they're already in there and
right.
managing the land around it and the economies around them.
Yeah, and I think, he's saying these companies can't pass the cost on to households, consumers and their homes. We should not see our electric bills and our water bills increasing. It's a
Absolutely.
great thing. I agree with that. So let's put it into law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
We
I live
can't do.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say we can't put it into law unless we have a special session. And I know probably the governor hates it when I say that, but I really do think we need to have a special set, and we could do it relatively quickly because again, we know what it is we're trying to do is to keep the companies that are building the data centers from pushing the costs onto households. And so that's fairly simple.
Well, I live in North Texas in Amarillo, where Project Matador, which is the biggest one in the entire world, is supposed to be. And we're on the Ogallala Aquifer, where I've lived here my entire life, and we've always had this campaign, this water campaign, and it's like every drop matters or every drop counts or something like that. But when I went to all of the city council meetings where it was just pushed through. My actual House representative, federal or congressional representative, was the one who helped push these things through. And it's just, there's just so much corruption. I don't know if we're ever going to get back from that if we can't get good people in office. It's the blatant corruption. It's just absolute insanity to me. Like, how do we not see this, and what do we do about it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you got to choose the issues, if you were the lieutenant governor right now and you got to choose the issues, what exact issues would you put? The education, health?
So increasing funding to our public schools, ending the voucher program that's sucking $1 billion and more going forward out of it, fixing our broken healthcare system, like I said, addressing affordability and water, and a lot of things fall within that. The data centers has certainly come up as one of the biggest issues recently. So in 2013, we passed a law that allowed for sales tax incentives to these companies. We need to end that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I think There was something that I also saw another state required that any data center be able to recycle their own water, so they're not continuously leaching off of the surrounding water and then feeding that black water back into the farmlands, which is what Greg Abbott apparently agreed to allow them to do.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert, but I talked to somebody last night about this. I was saying, these companies are talking about a closed loop system
Mhm.
where they're recycling the water. But I've also heard that they have to use chemicals in that, and PFAS included, which we know is damaging to the environment and to people. And at some point in time, they have to discharge that water. And his response to that was, well, they don't have to do that very often. Well, how often is very often?
Yeah.
And when you do, where do you release it? Where do so part of it is transparency. Just we need to understand, we need answers to all these questions that we have before you move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these things are just so vague that everyone is just, I mean, not everyone, but people are able to like interpret however they
That's
want.
the intention, Tovar. It's meant to be that way.
Yeah, for sure. I do have another question. Um, shifting gears a little bit, Texas law requires certain companies contracting with government entities to certify that they do not and will not boycott Israel. And we saw the issue reach local government when Governor Abbott threatened San Marcos with the loss of state grants over its Gaza resolution. We also routinely see elected officials in the Texas Capitol publicly displaying their support for Israel. And I want to be clear, my question isn't whether an individual legislator has the right to support Israel or not, because I believe that they do. My question is about the power of the state of Texas. Israel is a foreign country. Where does this specific singled out governmental allegiance come from? And should support for any foreign country to be written into Texas law or use the condition for receiving taxpayer funded contracts and grants?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So first of all, when you started the question, you said something about San Marcos, and that I,
Mhm.
I believe in local control. I believe that we need to let our local communities have a say. Making them put certain things in their contracts kind of goes against that. I think I have a close friend who runs a construction company. And when that law went into effect and he had to sign a contract with the
Mhm.
state of Texas, he saw in there, and he was really surprised to see in there that he had to agree not to boycott Israel. He's like, what does that have to do with
Mhm.
building a road in Texas? And he just was incredulous that he had to sign that agreement. Not that he was planning to boycott Israel, but it
Yeah.
just seemed completely out of place.
It's like,
And
it's almost like you're making people have an opinion on the matter, and some people might not even know anything about what's going on over there, and it just makes them pick a position. And
yeah. I mean, this is a small mom and pop construction company. They just happened to do something very specialized that the state needed. And so it was one of the few state contracts he had to sign. But not only that, I mean, that's one issue. There's been similar things that the state has put into law. You have to agree to this or not agree to that, that have made it difficult for our cities to get bonds released. I had the city of Austin come to me and talk about something that said you can't discriminate against gun manufacturers. Again, like this has nothing to do
Just the
with
13
what.
ounce sign
it's just
out.
so arbitrary. It's just pulled out of
Mhm.
thin air.
Yeah. And I remember at the time that that law passed, a lot of legislators were scratching their heads. Well, really, it's a political stunt because it makes it difficult. Some of these bills are hard to vote for or against. You know what I mean? Like if you vote for it, it
Mhm.
signals one thing. If you vote against it. So a lot of members actually did what we call white light, which means that we did not take a stand because we felt like it was inappropriate. We felt like this is not an appropriate thing for the state to take up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So go ahead.
no, I was just saying, it's just wild that a foreign country is getting treated differently, and we have allies all over the country. Like, why is just this one particular country getting special treatment, especially from a small town like San Marcos? $4.1 million, I think, is what the
4.4.
four point
Four.
four million dollars. That's a lot of
Mhm.
money for San Marcos. It
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. And I know personally being in the Capitol, I see representatives that have, pins on their jackets with a different country. And to me as a veteran, that is extremely offensive whenever I
Mm.
see that. So as I guess as a lieutenant governor, like, is there anything that can be, I guess, influenced from that position as far as when it comes to these these specific contracts for certain foreign countries?
Yeah, I mean, you can always repeal laws and you can always change things. Oftentimes, legislators don't make that a priority. And I will say it's so hard to pass a law to begin with that most legislators are thinking we want to add laws. And it's not often that we think, oh, we need
Mm,
to
mhm,
remove laws that
mhm.
are no longer
Yeah,
make sense or
Yeah.
never did make sense. So most of the time legislators are adding to, but I think it would make sense. We have laws on the books that nobody follows because they really are antiquated, but it would be nice if we could clean up our laws.
for sure. Yes, for
Well,
everything.
I think my concern with that specifically has to do with the fact that the small city of San Marcos sending 4.4 billion or billion or million.
It was
It was a
million.
lot.
Yeah,
Million
still.
dollars. When you have, I mean, you have problems with your roads, you have problems, your public
Yeah.
schools are going unfunded. You took away kids lunches, student lunches, free and reduced lunches. Like there's so many things that could have been done that
Hmm.
with that 4.4 million dollars, and they weren't saying like that they were anti-Semitic. They were saying
Right.
we want our tax dollars to go to the place we live, and I just
Hmm.
don't think that that's fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That's not a good use of the dollars that that city could have used. Absolutely. I hear all the time about roads and potholes and maintenance and with all the money that we're sending. Oh, and don't get me started on toll roads. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think there was a complaint in the paper recently about all the tolls that people up in the DFW area have to take and how it adds up over time. And we're seeing more and more toll roads all over the state. When we pay so much money in our taxes, why are we having to then dole out money for toll roads? So,
Yeah.
That's one thing that has driven. I've lived in DFW my entire life, mostly like right on the edge of Richardson and Dallas. So I'm
mhm,
right at the high five. It has been under construction since I'm sure before I was born, and will be until my grandchildren are long gone. And you have to pay a toll for the express because it's the only thing that works half the time. And there's always something going on. So, yes, it would be nice if maybe we could minimize those toll roads to when they're only necessary. But it kind of seems like,
You're forced.
yeah, but that's again, it's all of this for profit stuff, right? So like even going back to hemp, when you're talking about like low level offenses, this
mhm.
is just a means for the federal government or the state government to make a little extra money, because these low level offenses, like, Vicky, how would you handle low level hemp offenses?
Oh, we need to decriminalize small. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It really is devastating for families. Oftentimes, the
Yes.
people that get caught and have to pay the fines and go to jail or what have you are the ones that can least afford it. So I think it's devastating when that could end up making it so someone can't pay rent, someone can't pay for groceries or what have you.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And not only that, when you look at like when you try to compare it, like you could get multiple DWIs and not get a felony, but you get caught with a little bit of Delta 8, felony,
And it's
possibly
hemp.
life.
It's not even marijuana. It's hemp. It's
Yeah.
hemp derived.
It's a derivative.
Converted. It's a conversion, but still, it initiated in the hemp plant. And so, how are you getting more? You can drink more alcohol, and you can possess more actual marijuana than you can actual hemp products now, and get a
Yeah,
felony for it. It's
that
crazy.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so every guest on Grassroots Resistance Collective gets one question that is left for them by the guest who came before them. And our last guest was Maureen Galindo. Do you know who she is?
I don't.
You didn't? She was great. What was she running for?
She was
She was
running
running for
for
office.
35 for District 35.
Uh,
Yeah, she lost against Johnny Garcia, I think.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
yeah. She's great. You should meet her someday. But anyways, her question to you was, how do you create community power?
That's a good question.
What?
So I think you create community power by bringing people together and teaching them how to advocate. So every session before session starts, I actually have an advocacy day at the Capitol. And I was thrilled, I think it was 2025, when we had people as far away as Amarillo come to my advocacy day.
Chassis.
Because they wanted to understand, like, how do we be effective at getting laws changed? And so I think that's the way to create community power, is to teach people how to advocate for themselves and bring people together, because more voices means more power.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it. People need to learn to advocate for themselves. I know in the hemp industry, it seems like a lot of people are either timid or nervous, or they don't want to get in front of it. But I think I think what we've learned is no one's gonna take the charge. We have to do it as individuals ourselves, to get out there and talk to these legislators and make our voices heard. Because nothing's gonna get changed if we just let whoever decide whatever the rules and laws are gonna be.
No
Yeah.
one's
Mhm.
coming to save us, guys. So we need to send the best of us to the Capitol so they can speak for us. And remember, at the end of the day, if we send them to the Capitol and they don't speak for us, we won't send them back.
That's
But I
right.
don't think we have any concerns with Vicky. She has a proven track record of speaking very loudly on our behalf. So make sure you go vote for her.
For sure.
Have you seen my ad? Because my ad says no one's coming to save us.
Yes,
You have seen it? Send it to me.
I love
All
it. I
Well,
love it.
Miss Goodwin, thank you very much for visiting us and coming back to us. Hopefully, you can come back after November when we're ready to hit the next legislative session. Can you tell our audience, where they could find you and stuff like
Yeah.
that?
Well, don't I get to give
Oh,
you a
yes,
question
you
for
did.
your
Oh,
next
sorry.
guest?
Waiting for it. I was about to say it, but go
So
ahead.
my question for your next guest is, what words of wisdom would you like to share with people today?
Ooh, that's good. And we're not trying to rush you off, but your communications director, Sophia, is on her business.
She's great. She
Got
is very
30
good.
minutes, and then she's got to go, and she's like, okay, you can all of this. She's going to cover this with you. She's open to anything, but you got 30 minutes. And I was like, yes.
So
We made pretty good time.
yeah, well, thank you for the last question of where can people find me? Goodwin4Texas.com. And we have lots of good information there. And to go along with my healthcare plan, we're asking for feedback. If people have healthcare stories that they want to share, they're welcome to put it there. And I've read some really good stories that will help us shape what that legislation ultimately looks like.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love to hear it. Well,
Thank
good
you
luck,
so much.
Vicky.
Hey,
All
wait,
right.
if you
Yep.
win, so the election is November 3rd, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And if you win against Dan Patrick, when would you take office?
So session begins in January. We get sworn in like January 4th or something like that.
Okay, so you would actually be the lieutenant governor on the next legislative session.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Yay.
so everybody, we need a good win for Texas, right?
Yes.
Go vote for Vicky Goodwin.
We need a good win for Texas. Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank
we do.
you.
All right.
Thank
All
you
right. Thank
so
you again. We'll see y'all later.
See you soon.
All right.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.